David's Saturday AI Thoughts, episode 25, 8th August 2026, my newest colleague. What's on my mind? At 6:30 on New Year's morning, a colleague messaged me. The overnight job that sorts my photos had jammed halfway through a batch. By the time I'd sat down at my desk in Connecticut, it had worked out why, fixed it, and written a rule in its notes so the same jam couldn't happen twice. The colleague was an AI. That was the morning, more or less, that I stopped visiting one and started working with one. I think of AI as arriving in 3 generations. The first is the chatbot. Brilliant, patient, and amnesiac. You visit it, it forgets you when you leave. Almost every corporate AI policy is written about this one. The second is the agent. You hand it a task and it uses a computer the way you would, clicking, typing, checking its work. It arrived last year. The keenest are already fluent in it, mostly at home on their own accounts. The third generation isn't a tool you use. It's more like a colleague you manage. Mine has been on the team since the new year. It keeps a diary of everything we do, 1,000 entries. It holds a handbook on how I work, how I write, what done means, which mistakes I never want repeated. When it gets something wrong, we write the correction down, and it stays corrected. I wish I could say the same for myself. All week scheduled jobs process what I send it for this email, the writing we do together. Once I've edited and signed it off, on Saturday morning it makes the website and podcast versions, publishes them, then presses send while I'm still in bed. It drafts replies to certain emails but may never send one. Drafting is delegated, editing and sending are mine. If you've emailed me and waited weeks, there's your proof. The draft and possibly the work itself was likely ready in minutes. The human checking, editing and owning it was not. In its own name, it sends freely, clearly labelled updates to my team and some clients every morning. It archives things. It may never delete them. When a job needs more hands, it briefs junior copies of itself, writing my rules into every brief. Management, I've discovered, goes all the way down. I reach it the way I'd reach anyone. Email, messages, a web page, an app. It can't join a video call yet, though I'm tempted. Others on the team can email it too. But it acts on nothing without my go-ahead. The rule is mine. I'm thinking about loosening it. None of this needed new technology. It all runs on tools anyone can subscribe to for $200 a month. The model underneath is the same one the chatbot uses. What it needed was management. A written account of how I work, boundaries set in advance, trust extended step by step. Building my third-generation colleague was the least technical work I did all year. I still sit in rooms of people delighted to be stepping from the first generation to the second. I love helping them. What I don't say is that the second generation waiting for them has been quietly hobbled before they touch it. It often may not send, even a morning briefing to its own boss. It usually may not remember. Sometimes it may not reach the files where the real work lives. The fix sits with a policy or an administrator nobody can reach. Between sessions, I check on my colleague from my phone. Back at my desk, I review the projects it worked on alone while I was in meetings. Which is why I think I haven't yet met an organisation with a fully functioning second generation. Never mind a third. A third-generation colleague raises deep questions. Who answers for what it does at 4 in the morning? For mine, one sentence. Everything it does is mine. I check what matters, and I own the result. An organisation has to answer in policy, and AI policy has barely started. I don't want to oversell my colleague. Tireless and forgetting nothing, it has told me a job was finished when it wasn't. And I found out the way any manager does by checking. The care doesn't go away. It moves up a level from doing the work to running the team that does. The first generation arrived as a website you could visit, the second as an app you could install. Nobody has properly packaged the third yet, partly because what makes it a colleague is the handbook, and only you can write yours. You can start, though. Give an AI a memory, a handbook, and standing responsibilities, and manage it like the newest member of your team. The keenest in your building, I'd bet, already has one.
Here are 3 things worth knowing this week. Number 1. The first mass deployment of agents in Britain is aimed at institutions from the outside, and they can't take the volume. Everyone is planning for agents inside the organisation. Britain's first mass deployment has arrived from the opposite direction. Citizens using models and agents to file objections, appeals and claims against a state built for the post and the telephone. Demand for emergency injunctions has risen 100-fold. The backlog in employment tribunals is up 55% in a year, attributed in large part to AI-assisted claims. Institutions on the receiving end can't hire their way out. If you run a complaints, claims, appeals or admissions function, this is the week to stop modelling a percentage uplift in what arrives and start modelling a step change. Number 2. When an agent shops on your behalf, a US court now says it's you, and access law stops being a way to keep agents out. Assume software acting for a person is about to arrive on your website, and that access law may not be what turns it away. A US appeals court has overturned an injunction that stopped Comet, a browser built by the AI search firm Perplexity, from shopping on Amazon, the online retailer. Because the agent acts only on a user's instruction, the court held it's the user reaching Amazon servers, so the unauthorized access claim looks unlikely to hold. The first precedent of the agent era. Ask yourself, does your commercial model assume a human is looking at what you create? Number 3. Rich economies turn out to be the ones most exposed to AI because they moved their work into the jobs it does best. Does AI widen the gap between rich countries and poor ones? The World Bank, the international development lender, finds the reverse. Under 1/10 of jobs in developing economies are susceptible to AI automation, against more than 1/3 in high-income economies. Susceptible is a model judgment about what a job involves, not a count of anything lost. The usage gap is smaller than you'd guess too. About 1/5 of businesses with more than 5 employees surveyed across India, Jordan, Kenya, Mexico, Nigeria and Thailand had recently used chatbots, against about 1/3 in the United States. The mechanism is the important part. Rich economies bought their productivity by moving work into precisely the desk jobs these models do best.
Three things to try. Number 1, never ask it for the average. Ask it segment by segment. Ask a model for a random number between 1 and 10. It reaches for 7 far more often than a person does. 7 is the number humans pick, and the model overshoots towards it. Every answer you take at face value is a population average, and averages hide the groups who differ. Medicine learned that the hard way, so don't ask how popular something is. Ask it to answer as a woman from Newcastle, then a man from Manchester, then an affluent American. Number 2, feed it a transcript you already have and ask what they didn't tell you. In a coaching session this week, I suggested inverting the usual use of a transcript. You already have a pile, the last expert call, advisor session or supplier pitch. Rather than compress what was said, feed one back and ask what wasn't said. The expert's answers give the model enough seed context to explore the ground around the conversation, which you could never reach from a cold start. Start with the most important meeting you were in last week. It will make you see it differently. It always does. Number 3, ask for tracked changes, not a rewrite. Hand a model a document to improve, and it hands back a rewrite, which you then have to reread from scratch to find what moved. Instead, ask for tracked changes. Claude's add-in marks up the open document, and you accept or reject each change like an editor, with a reason beside anything material. The diff becomes the unit of review rather than the document, which is the difference between a check that happens and one that gets skipped on a busy Thursday.
What readers said. Last week's essay said the machines can smooth the road, but the organisation still has to decide where to go, and asked what changed the last time AI made your work quicker. A reader pushed back on where the ceiling sits. As expert work gets cheaper, the market widens rather than fills up. because people who could never afford it start buying. Someone who took the question literally used AI to build a better deck, faster, to drive a culture change, and reports that the culture hasn't changed yet. A reader unwilling to wait for the deeper transformation wanted the near-term gains counted too.
I also read what readers are posting on LinkedIn each week. 3 of them landed separately on the thing I've been circling: who owns the instruction? Connor McCarthy, fractional AI lead at Threshold Partners, which helps consultancies build their own AI roadmaps, spent a year blaming the tools for work that came back not quite the thing I'd wanted, then found the real fault: I was speaking in tasks. Marie Toft, who advises organisations on EU AI Act compliance, notes that the Act's duties on deployers, which is nearly everyone, have applied since February 2025, and that most firms are in scope without ever having decided to. And Bill Williams, chief executive of IPTA, an IT services firm in government contracting, sat 7 chief executives down to talk about AI and found every conversation was really about where the human sits.
That's it for David's Saturday AI Thoughts this week. This is a faithful reading of the email edition. The full written version with all the links and sources, plus 15 bits that didn't fit, full reader letters, and full community voices is at stedman.ai. Thanks for listening.